First Contact's deception. The Galactic Council's ships hung in Earth's orbit like crystalline chandeliers, their hulls shimmering with colors humans had no names for. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the command center of the International Space Defense Station, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien fleet. 20 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the galactic community, and something still felt off about the whole situation. Another delegation requesting permission to study our primitive spacecraft designs, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice carrying a hint of familiar frustration. That makes 3 this month. Sarah's fingers drummed against the console. The Galactic Council had welcomed Earth into their community with open arms, perhaps too open. They treated humans like fascinating children, eager to study their young civilization's early attempts at spaceflight. But their patronizing attitude couldn't hide their obvious anxiety whenever humans showed signs of rapid technological advancement. Permission denied, Sarah responded, her voice firm. Tell them we're conducting routine maintenance. She turned to Dr. James Mitchell, the station's chief archaeologist and historian. What have you found in those deep crust readings? James pulled up a new hologram, showing layers of Earth's crust with unusual energy signatures. It's like nothing we've seen before, Captain. These patterns, they're not natural formations. They're too precise, too structured. And they're old, far older than any known human civilization. The discovery had been accidental. A new type of scanner, developed by combining human innovation with carefully studied alien tech, had revealed a network of structures buried deep within Earth's crust. Structures that, according to preliminary dating, were millions of years old. The Council's historians claim humanity achieved spaceflight only 50 years ago. Sarah mused, studying the readings. Yet we keep finding evidence of advanced technology buried in our own planet. Technology that predates their earliest records. An alert flashed across the main screen. Captain, Rodriguez called out, we're detecting unusual activity from the Meraxian ship. They're scanning something on the planet's surface. Sarah's eyes narrowed. The Meraxians, one of the Council's oldest races, had been particularly interested in Earth lately. Location: the Atacama Desert, near the site of the energy anomalies we detected last week. Lock them out, Sarah ordered. Full spectrum jamming. And get me a secure line to Admiral Hassan at Luna Base. As her crew scrambled to action, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were getting close to something big. The Council's persistent interest in Earth's development, their careful monitoring of human technological progress, the ancient structures hidden beneath their feet, it all pointed to a truth that the galactic community seemed desperate to keep hidden. The secure channel crackled to life, Admiral Hassan's weathered face appearing on her private screen. Captain Chen, what's the situation? Sir, I think it's time we accelerated Project Phoenix. The Meraxians are getting too close to the Atacama site. Hassan's expression grew grave. The Council won't like that. They've been very clear about the proper pace of technological development for young races. With all due respect, sir, I don't think we're as young as they want us to believe. Sarah sent him the latest scan data. These structures, the energy signatures, they match the fragments of ancient text we found in the Mariana Trench facility. I think we're not discovering alien technology at all. We're rediscovering our own. The Admiral was silent for a long moment, studying the data. Finally, he nodded. Initiate Protocol Lazarus. But be careful, Captain. If we're right about this, we're about to unravel a deception that spans millions of years. And I doubt the Council will simply stand by and watch. As Sarah ended the transmission, a new alert lit up her console. More Council ships were entering the solar system, their arrival unscheduled and unexpected. The game of pretense was about to end, and humanity was finally ready to remember who they truly were. The real question was, why had they forgotten in the first place? The archives awakened. The Atacama Desert shimmered under the harsh afternoon sun as Sarah Chen's shuttle descended toward the excavation site. The Council ships still hovered in orbit, their presence a constant reminder of the facade that was rapidly crumbling. Below, a massive archaeological operation had transformed the desert landscape into a hive of activity. Dr. Mitchell waited for her at the site's entrance, his normally composed demeanor betraying excitement. "Captain, you need to see this immediately." He led her through a series of security checkpoints into what appeared to be a natural cave system. But as they descended deeper, the rough stone walls gave way to something else entirely. "It's some kind of memory core," James explained, gesturing to the metallic walls that seemed to pulse with a faint internal light. "The technology is incredibly advanced, but here's the thing. We can read it. Not because we've learned alien languages, but because it's responding to us. To human DNA." Sarah ran her hand along one of the walls, and symbols flickered to life beneath her touch. They weren't alien glyphs, but a form of ancient human writing, more complex and elegant than anything in recorded history. "How old is this facility?" "At least 4 million years, James replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "And it's not just a database. It's a backup of human civilization, of what we used to be." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing Earth as it once was. Vast cities that stretched into the clouds, ships that sailed between stars as easily as boats crossed oceans, and technology that bordered on the miraculous. But more importantly, it showed humanity's role in the galaxy. "We weren't just another spacefaring race," Sarah breathed, watching the images flow past. "We were the peacekeepers, the guardians. We helped younger civilizations grow, protected them from threats they couldn't even comprehend." "Which explains why the Council is so nervous," James added. "They're not watching over our development. They're making sure we don't remember who we were." Sarah's communicator chirped urgently. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through, tense and controlled. "Captain, we have a situation. The Miraxian fleet is moving into attack position. They're demanding we shut down all operations in the Atacama region immediately." "How long until they're in range?" Sarah asked, already moving toward the exit. 10 minutes, maybe less. Admiral Hassan is mobilizing the Luna Defense Fleet, but they won't get here in time." Sarah looked at James, then back at the ancient archive humming with awakened power. "We're not shutting anything down. This is our heritage, our true history. And I think—" She placed her hand on one of the walls again, and this time the entire chamber thrummed with energy. "I think this facility is more than just an archive." Deep beneath their feet, something vast and ancient stirred to life. The ground trembled as long-dormant systems reactivated, responding to human presence for the first time in millions of years. On her communicator's display, Sarah watched as new energy signatures bloomed across the desert floor, a defense network that had been sleeping since before the first Council race achieved spaceflight. "Tell the Miraxians we'll be happy to discuss their concerns," Sarah commanded, a slight smile playing at her lips. "But first, they need to understand something. They're not dealing with a young, primitive race anymore. They're dealing with the people who taught their ancestors how to reach for the stars." Above them, the Council ships moved into attack formation, their weapons charging, but they had failed to grasp a crucial truth. They weren't facing a fledgling civilization discovering its first pieces of advanced technology. They were witnessing the reawakening of humanity's true power and the reckoning that would follow. The ancient defense systems were fully online now, their power signature dwarfing anything the Council ships could generate. Sarah felt a connection to them, an intuitive understanding that went beyond mere technological interface. This wasn't alien technology they were reclaiming. It was coming home. "James," she said, watching as more systems came online across the globe, "I think it's time we showed the Council exactly why they worked so hard to keep us in the dark." The first shots from the Miraxian ships never reached the Earth's surface. They dissipated against shields that had protected the planet since before their civilization existed. And as humanity's ancient guardians rose from their long slumber, the true balance of power in the galaxy began to shift back to its original state. Breaking the illusion. The Council's emergency session materialized in the heart of the Atacama facility, thousands of holographic representatives flickering into existence around Sarah. The ancient chamber adapted seamlessly, expanding to accommodate the gathering. The Maraxian fleet had withdrawn to a safe distance after their weapons proved useless against Earth's reawakened defenses, but the tension in the air remained electric. High Chancellor Vex of the Maraxians spoke first, his crystalline form pulsing with barely contained anger. You activate forbidden technology, access restricted archives, and still claim ignorance of your crimes. This is precisely why your race was contained. Contained. Sarah's voice carried through the chamber, the facility's systems automatically translating for every species present. An interesting choice of words, Chancellor. Not guided or mentored, as you've claimed for the past 20 years, but contained. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic data streams from the newly awakened archives. For millions of years, humanity served as guardians of this galaxy. We helped younger races take their first steps into space, protected them from cosmic threats, and maintained peace across thousands of star systems. Then something happened, something you've worked very hard to hide. Admiral Hassan's hologram stepped forward, adding his voice to Earth's defense. We've decoded enough of our ancient records to understand the broad strokes. A catastrophe struck Earth, one that nearly wiped out our civilization. Instead of helping us, their protectors and mentors, the younger races saw an opportunity. The chamber erupted in protests and denials, but Sarah raised her hand, and the facility's systems dampened all other voices. The power of the gesture wasn't lost on the council members. Human authority over this ancient technology was absolute. You didn't just take advantage of our weakness, Sarah continued. You systematically erased our history, manipulated our development, and positioned yourselves as the elder races of the galaxy. But you couldn't erase everything. Our technology was too advanced, too integrated into the fabric of space itself. So you buried it, hid it, and watched us carefully to make sure we never found it. Dr. Mitchell's hologram appeared beside her, displaying his latest findings. The Council didn't just rewrite history. They've been actively suppressing Earth's natural technological development. The assistance they've provided since first contact, carefully designed to guide us away from rediscovering our true heritage. A new voice cut through the chaos. Archivist Lyra of the Satani, one of the oldest council races. Unlike the others, she showed no anger, only a deep weariness. You cannot understand the responsibility we carried. Humanity's power was too great, your influence too vast. When catastrophe struck your world, we had to make a choice. And you chose to betray us, Sarah replied, her voice hard. To take everything we taught you and use it against us. We chose to survive. Vex thundered. Your race wielded power beyond imagination. You shaped the destiny of every spacefaring species. When you fell, the galaxy faced chaos. We did what we had to do to maintain order. Sarah walked to the center of the chamber, and the ancient facility responded to her presence, projecting a map of the galaxy around her. Countless points of light began to glow, hidden human outposts, dormant facilities, and automated systems that had silently watched over the galaxy even as their creators forgot their own legacy. Your order is built on lies, she said quietly. And those lies are coming undone. Already, our facilities across Earth are awakening. Our orbital platforms are reactivating. The very infrastructure of this galaxy remembers its true architects. Admiral Hassan stepped forward again. We're not here to seek revenge or to reclaim dominion over the galaxy, but we will not allow our history to remain buried. Humanity will remember who we are, and we will take our place among the stars again, not as children to be guided, but as equals. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's reawakened defenses had already proven superior to their best weapons. If more of humanity's ancient technology continued to activate, the balance of power would shift dramatically. We propose a new agreement, Sarah announced. one based on truth this time. Help us understand what really happened to our civilization, and we'll help guide the galaxy into a new era, together, as we once did before. The holographic representatives buzzed with private conversations, their facades of superiority crumbling in the face of revealed truth. They had spent millions of years trying to prevent this very moment, only to find that humanity's reawakening was inevitable. In the depths of the Atacama facility, more systems were coming online, each one carrying fragments of humanity's lost legacy. The truth could no longer be contained, and the galaxy would never be the same. Legacy of the stars. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, another ancient facility stirred to life. Sarah stood in its central chamber, watching as millennia of dormancy fell away from systems that had once managed the traffic of thousands of worlds. Admiral Hassan and Dr. Mitchell flanked her, their expressions a mixture of awe and determination as they witnessed humanity's past glory reasserting itself. The Mariana facility is more than just another archive, Dr. Mitchell explained, his hands moving across holographic displays that responded eagerly to human touch. It was a major transit hub, a gateway between stars that made traditional spaceflight obsolete. The Council must have known about this, Hassan mused, studying the facility's schematics. No wonder they were so insistent on controlling our ocean exploration. Sarah nodded, remembering the countless trade agreements and environmental treaties that had mysteriously required Council oversight of Earth's deep-sea research. They couldn't destroy these facilities. The technology was beyond them. So they buried them, hid them beneath kilometers of ocean, and hoped we'd never look too deeply at our own world. The facility's systems were revealing more with each passing hour. Humanity hadn't just been advanced. They had fundamentally understood the universe in ways that modern science was only beginning to grasp. The Council's supposedly superior technology was like stone tools compared to what their ancestors had wielded. "Captain," a technician called out, "we're detecting energy signatures from the moon. Something's activating in the Sea of Tranquility." The holographic display shifted, showing the lunar surface. Beneath the regolith that had concealed it for millions of years, a vast complex was awakening. It made the Council's lunar bases look like children's toys in comparison. "That's not all," Dr. Mitchell added, his voice tight with excitement. "The lunar facility is connecting with others: Mars, Venus, the Jovian moons. The entire solar system is riddled with our technology, all of it linked in a network we never knew existed." Sarah felt a deep sense of connection to these ancient systems. They weren't just responding to human DNA. They were recognizing something deeper, a resonance between human consciousness and the very fabric of spacetime that their ancestors had mastered. "The Council representatives are requesting another session," Hassan reported. "They seem anxious." "I imagine they are," Sarah replied, watching as more facilities activated across the solar system. "Everything they've built, all their careful plans to keep us contained, it's unraveling faster than they can control." A new hologram materialized, a complete map of known space, but overlaid with information that made the Council's star charts look primitive. Ancient human outposts glowed like beacons, automated systems began reporting in, and dormant technologies stirred to life across thousands of light years. "This is why they were so afraid," Dr. Mitchell whispered. "Our influence, our technology, it's woven into the very structure of galactic civilization. They built their empire on top of ours, using fragments they barely understood." The facility's communications array activated, bringing reports from across Earth. Similar discoveries were being made everywhere. Hidden complexes awakening, ancient knowledge flooding back into human hands. Humanity's children were remembering who they were, and with that memory came power that the Council had spent millions of years trying to suppress. "Sir," the technician called out again, "the lunar facility is transmitting data. It's a recording." From before. The chamber's atmosphere shifted as a new hologram formed, a message from their ancestors, preserved against the very catastrophe that had nearly destroyed them. The figure that appeared was human, yet there was something timeless about her bearing, a sense of wisdom and power that transcended ordinary existence. If you're seeing this, the ancient recording began, then you've begun to remember. The council races, our former students, shows a dark path when disaster struck us. But we prepared for this possibility. Everything you're rediscovering was left deliberately, hidden in ways that only our reawakened minds could access. Sarah felt a chill as the message continued. Their ancestors hadn't just been victims of circumstance. They had planned for this moment, seeding their legacy throughout the galaxy in ways that could never truly be erased. The question isn't whether humanity will reclaim its place among the stars, Hassan said quietly. The question is, what will we do with that power once we have it? In orbit, Council ships maintained their distance, their sensors desperately trying to track the cascade of activations spreading across the solar system. They had spent millions of years pretending to be the galaxy's elder races. Now they had to face the reality of their true teacher's return. The true order. The Sol system had transformed in a matter of days. Ancient stations and facilities now orbited every major celestial body, their activation revealing the true face of humanity's domain. The Council fleet remained at the system's edge, watching as the species they had tried to contain reclaimed its heritage. Sarah stood in the newly awakened command center on Mars, a facility that dwarfed anything humans had built in their modern era. The holographic displays showed the galaxy in perfect detail, countless points of light representing human technology awakening from its long slumber. The full archives are restored, Dr. Mitchell announced, his eyes bright with wonder. Now we know what really happened, and why. The catastrophe that had struck Earth millions of years ago hadn't been natural. It had been a choice, a desperate measure taken by humanity's ancestors when they discovered something terrible approaching from the void between galaxies. They knew they couldn't stop it, not directly, Sarah said, watching the historical records play out. So they did something unprecedented. They seeded their technology throughout the galaxy, encoded their knowledge into their own DNA, and went into a species-wide hibernation. Admiral Hassan nodded grimly. They gave up their power and their memories, trusting that we would reawaken when the time was right. The council races, they were never meant to be our masters. They were meant to be our caretakers. But power corrupts, Dr. Mitchell added. They couldn't resist the temptation to reshape the galaxy in their own image, to pretend they were the original architects of civilization. A signal chimed, announcing another council session. This time, when the representatives appeared, their arrogance had been replaced by something closer to fear. High Chancellor Vex spoke first, his crystalline form dimmed with what might have been shame. We have reviewed the complete records, he said. What our ancestors did, what we continued to do, was wrong. But you must understand, we thought we were protecting the galaxy. The threat your people foresaw is still coming, Sarah finished. The displays shifted, showing the void between galaxies. Something moved there, vast and dark and patient. That's why we're awakening now. The timeline our ancestors calculated is almost up. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just been the galaxy's peacekeepers. They had been its guardians against a threat so vast that even at the height of their power, they couldn't face it directly. We're not seeking revenge, Sarah continued, addressing the council. We don't have time for it. What's coming will destroy everything. Your civilizations, ours, every spark of life in the galaxy. Our ancestors knew this. Everything they did was to prepare for this moment. The ancient recording they had discovered played again, its message now carrying new weight. We hide ourselves away, becoming our own time capsule. When we reawaken, it will be because the galaxy needs its guardians again. The knowledge we leave behind isn't just about technology or power. It's about duty, about sacrifice, about standing against the dark, no matter the cost. Admiral Hassan stepped forward. We offer you a choice. Stand with us. Help us prepare for what's coming, or stand aside. But the pretense ends now. Humanity remembers who we are, and we have work to do. The council representatives conferred among themselves, their previous unity fracturing in the face of this revelation. Some, like the Maraxians, struggled with the loss of their artificial authority. Others, including the Satani, seemed almost relieved that the burden of their deception could finally be set aside. In the depths of space, more human facilities activated. Defensive systems older than most civilizations hummed to life. The galaxy was remembering its true protectors, and not a moment too soon. The threat that had caused humanity to hide itself away was almost upon them. What do we do now? Dr. Mitchell asked, watching as the council races began pledging their support, one by one. Sarah looked at the displays, at the countless worlds that would need their protection, at the darkness approaching from between the stars. Now, we do what we were always meant to do. We stand guard. We protect. We face whatever's coming, not as rulers or conquerors, but as guardians. The ancient facilities pulsed with power, ready to serve their creators once again. Humanity had awakened from its long sleep, remembered its true purpose, and found itself facing an enemy that had given them pause even at the height of their power. But they weren't alone anymore. The deception that had divided the galaxy was ending, replaced by a unity born of necessity and truth. The time for secrets was over. The time for preparation had begun. And humanity, the true elders of the galaxy, would lead the way into the darkness, just as they always had.